microorganism as reading skill. But now we'll talk about Unit 7 as grammar and vocabulary. Let's start with verb-noun collocations. What's the definition of collocation? These are words that go together to create phrases. There are different types of collocations in English. For example, there are verb-noun collocations like what we'll talk about today, such as do a test, or drive a car, or ride a bike. And there are also adjective-noun collocations. Now we have this table, which have verb and noun. Some verbs like make, raise, give, run, meet, lose will have to match them with their noun collocation. For example, when, say, make an effort, raise or run a risk, meet expectation, lose temper, make an effort, raise taxes. So we'll practice this verb-noun collocation in this exercise. Now, our boss often gets angry, and when things go wrong. So what's the suitable verb-noun collocation that suits this sentence? So our boss often gets angry and loses his temper. So he's very angry. Now be careful to use the right tense. We start the sentence with present simple, we'll complete it with present simple tense. If she never posts anything on her personal website, she runs the risk of alienating her fans. Politicians often think the government should raise taxes. Here, after should, verb 0. Raise taxes in order to get more money to spend. The new clerk didn't, after didn't, we have verb 0. Meet. Didn't meet his boss' expectations and was fired after only 2 months. His car broke down, so I him to the nearest garage. So I gave him a lift. We start with past simple, we'll continue past simple. So I gave him a lift. To the nearest garage. Not everything happens on its own. Sometimes you have to get things done. Make an effort. An effort to get things done. Now, in concern of pronunciation, we'll talk about silent letter. Which are silent letter, or what are silent letters? A silent letter or mute letter in a word is a letter that is written but not pronounced. Here are some examples of silent letters. Like the word logically, the A is muted or is silent, so we can't pronounce A. Now the second verb or the second word, which is climb. Climb, we can't pronounce P. The third word is muscle. The C isn't pronounced. Wednesday, it's a day of the week, so Wednesday, the D, it's written but not pronounced. Make, here we have a diphthong, so the E is silent. Calm, calm, the L is silent. Now the GH in most words can't pronounce them, like the word light, night. Exhaust or exhausted, we don't pronounce H. Now the word business, the I isn't pronounced, so we pronounce S then N, business. In most words also, the word which begin with K and followed by N, so the K is silent. So we say knife, not knife, knife. Word like mnemonic, mnemonic, the M, it's existed at the first letter in the word, so it can't pronounce. We say mnemonic, not mnemonic. Now the word sword, sword, the W letter can't pronounce. Castle, castle, which means citadel, the T can't pronounce, pronounced. We can't say castle, we say castle, like listen. Colleague, the UE, the final two letters aren't pronounced. That's what concerns silent letter. Now, as you know, dear student, we have had conditional sentences since the 7th grade. So, as you know, there are 4 types of conditional sentences. We have the 0 type, the first type, the second type, and the third type of conditional sentences. In this lesson, we try to talk about the second conditional and conditional in type 2 and conditional in type 3. So, what's the form of second conditional? In the conditional sentences, as you know, we have 2 parts of the sentence. So, it's called compound sentence. The sentence here starts with if clause and main clause, or we can say it result clause. Please, can you move it? The main or main clause, okay, or main clause, or main clause, if clause. So, in the form of conditional sentences, we can start with the if clause or the main clause, or main clause or if clause we can begin of it. So, what is the form or what the tenses that go with the second conditional form? Now, if the sentence starts with if clause, the if clause must be simple past, and the if clause would and infinitive should start with, the main clause should start with subject, would plus verb 0 or infinitive. Example, if I found her address, if I found her address, I would send her an invitation. So we look at the first part of the sentence, or the if sentence. Found is the past form of find, so the second form, which should be would send. if I were you, I wouldn't do this. Now this type of sentence, it has a special name which is unreal past sentence or unreal past conditional. So it's start with if, subject, after it we use were as a verb, not was. We always use were after the subject to put yourself in somebody else's place. So if I were you, I wouldn't do this. Now, why do we use the conditional sentences in type 2? We use conditional sentences type 2 to refer to something not true about the present or future, imaginative, or we use it to regret something that happened before. Example, if I had enough time now, I would visit my aunt, but I haven't had enough time. I don't have enough time now. So I can visit her. Informal English, now this is note. Informal English, we usually use were instead of was in the second conditionals. As we say, this type of sentence is called unreal past. So we put were instead of was. Now conditional type 3. The form if a clause, many clause. The two types have the same structure, which is the if clause and the many clause, or we can start with the many clause or if clause. The if clause is past perfect. Sorry, here we have something wrong. Here in this type 3, we have past perfect and would have a plus verb 3. In the many clause of conditional type 3, we use if, past perfect. The many clause should start with subject, would have plus verb 3. Conditional sentences type 3 refer to something not true, so this is the use of conditional sentences type 3. Or why do we use it? We use it to refer to something not true about the past. They are truly hypothetical and unreal. If I had had enough time yesterday, I would have visited my aunt. So be careful that we use if plus past perfect tense, and the second clause would have verb 3. The first verb is auxiliary had, and the second verb is the main verb, which is have, or the past form or the third form of the verb have. What we mean by this? If I had had enough time yesterday, I would have visited my aunt. So I didn't have enough time yesterday, so I couldn't visit her. So I couldn't visit her. Now, we had this information previously that the if clause can be first or second in the sentence. We can start the sentence either by if clause or by the main clause. Now, let's practice the conditional in type 2 and 3 in this exercise. Now, as we talked, we have two parts of the sentence. So what is known in the first part or in the second part, we can explain to us what verb can we use in the or to change or transfer in the space. So the if clause, the verb here isn't known. In the many clause, we have the structure would be, which is would plus verb 0. So the if clause should be in past simple tense. If I started writing poetry, my English teacher would be surprised. The second sentence, we start here with the main clause. People would see my photo everywhere if I were a famous model. Here the P, the verb P, we start with would see, so the second part of the sentence must be in the past simple, and we say that when we have P, we should use were after if, or after the subject. If I were. If the family had saved enough money, here the tense is past perfect. Past perfect. So the complement of the sentence should be in with would have verb 3. So if the family had saved enough money, they would have bought a new flat. The buildings wouldn't have burned to ashes. So the main verb is known, would have verb 3 to ashes, if the firemen had come. So we should complete the if clause with past perfect. If my little sister did something wrong, the if sentence is past simple. So the main clause should be would tell. Verb 0. Be attention that we always use after will, would, won't, wouldn't, verb 0. If the policeman, the last sentence, had seen the thief, had seen past perfect. So the complement should be would have arrested. Now we'll move to the second slide. Now, choose the correct answer, A, B, or C. We're still in the same issue, which is conditional sentences. I'm very unhappy if my friends didn't come to the party. So when we have the modal verb or the helping verb did, we know that we are in the past simple tense. So, very unhappy if my friends didn't come. So the main clause would start with would and P. So it's the right or the correct answer. I would be very, very unhappy if my friends didn't come to the party. Your brother wouldn't have found such a nice job. Here, pay attention that we start the sentence with the main clause, which contain would have verb 3, such a nice job if he hadn't had. The correct answer is hadn't had. If he hadn't had a university diploma. If you had, it's past simple. The if clause in past simple, come in time, so the result clause wouldn't miss. Here we can use the negative form. If you had come in time, you wouldn't miss the lesson. People wouldn't have crossed the passwords if they pay attention to the main clause, which has would have crossed the passwords if they. So what type of sentence we should use here? If they haven't or didn't or hadn't built these bridges, we use the past perfect with would have verb 3. You would have some money in your pocket. Here we have would have without verb 3. So have is a main verb here. You would have some money in your pocket, and the second form or the second part of the sentence should be in past simple tense. If I didn't spend. If I in debt, I would quit my job. Also we have here the noun part is the main clause, would quit. Verb would, verb 0, so the if clause should be weren't. If I weren't in debt, or in past simple, if I weren't in debt, I would quit my job. Now match these sentences with their right complement. The first sentence, if you practiced more. The first sentence in past simple. What would happen? What would happen if you practiced more? The second clause or the main clause should be with would, verb 0. If you practiced more, your English would improve. So the right answer is D. In the second sentence, we start with the main clause, which is I would ring the police, and the if clause must be in the past simple tense. If I saw a burglar breaking into my house. So the right answer is F. The third sentence, if the referee had seen the foul, he would have awarded a penalty kick to our team. Here, the referee had seen, so it's in conditional type 3. Conditional type 3, so the complement or the main clause should be with would have and verb 3. So the correct answer is A. The fourth sentence, I would build a huge house by the beach if I won the lottery. I would build, verb 0, would plus verb 0, so the main verb or the if clause should be in past simple. If I won the lottery, C. If I had your address, the sentence in past the if clause in past perfect tense, the third conditional, so the complement should be in would, we should use would have, verb 3. If I had your address, I would have written you a postcard. The answer is P. The last one, she wouldn't have arrived on time. She wouldn't have arrived on time, so we should complete the sentence with if clause that has the past perfect tense. So she wouldn't have arrived on time if she had taken the bus. So the right answer is E. Now complete the following sentences. Here, this exercise, we should know what to use according to the known part of the sentence. I would spend every winter in Kasab if I had fuel, if I had a car. I would spend every winter in Kasab if I had a car. So the main clause has would plus verb 0, so the if clause must be in the past simple tense. If Sarah had had enough time, she would have watched a film. If Sarah had had, the if clause here in past perfect, the second clause or the main clause should be with would have verb 3. Jack will buy. Pay attention that this sentence is different from the others. It's in the first type. Jack will buy his son a computer when he passes his exam. So when the main clause have will, so we know that we are in the first conditional. So the complement should be in present simple, passes. He passes his exam. If my car hadn't run out of petrol, this sentence is in past perfect, so the complement should be in with would have verb 3. If my car hadn't run out of petrol, I would have gone to visit my sister. But the petrol had run out. Jane would have attended her friend's birthday if she would have attended her friend's birthday if she had had an invitation. Unless Caroline's car had a broken down, she wouldn't have stayed at home. We can complete the sentence as we like, but we should stick to the rule or grammar. When I say Jane would have attended a friend's birthday, if she had bought a present or if she had had an invitation, all it's okay. Both are accepted. Unless Caroline's car had broken down, she wouldn't have stayed at home. So, this is the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching.